record on this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so basically today we are going to be talking about the job interview process. We previously talked about how to put together a CV. We discussed how to use LinkedIn to build a network and to land an opportunity, professional opportunity, or also a scholarship opportunity. We also talked about how to put together a plan for your professional career and what you want to do next, whether you are a university student, high school student, or even an early career professional. Today, we'll be talking about the job interview before wrapping up these sessions about labor force integration. The next sessions, starting from the next week, it will focus mostly on soft skills. We will be discussing soft skills related to leadership, storytelling, emotional intelligence, communication and presentation skills, etc., etc. So as I said, this is the session where we're going to wrap up the labor force integration series of workshops in the Professional Development Club. And starting from next week, we will shift attention to tackle soft skills, which is a key component in our personal and professional development. Today, we are going to talk about the job interview process. As I mentioned, how to take control of your job interview, how to succeed in the job interview process. I know that it is something that stresses all of us out, and we will discuss later, and you will see that actually being stressed out when you have a job interview is something normal. Everyone, it doesn't matter how many times they went through a job interview, they feel stressed. It's like a singer who goes on concerts. When they take the stage, everyone, they feel stressed. But there is difference between people who actually manage to control their stress and other people, they still cannot manage their stress. And this is not necessarily related to the 1 hour where you are going to be sitting in the job interview, but also the whole process. The moment you receive an email that you are invited for a job interview, that's when stress starts. The level is different. Because the peak, obviously, it's when you sit in front of the panel and you start actually talking. That's the peak of the stress. But then at the beginning, you get stressed how you are going to prepare. You get stressed whether or not you will do a great job, etc., etc. There are a few things that we will be discussing, and the agenda is pretty simple. As usual, 5 points that we're going to discuss. First thing is the preparation tips. Second things is tips on the D-Day, of the interview. And the D-Day of the interview is basically this day where you are going to go to the company, sit in front of the panel, and do the interview, because this is basically going to be the turning point in the process. Then you have answering difficult questions. We're going to give some suggestions and also some mistakes that you need to avoid. And eventually we'll be discussing how to end the interview. And most importantly, what it should happen and how you should behave after the job interview. You should understand that the job interview process, there are 2 components in the job interview process. Component number 1 is the pre-interview. Component number 2 is the interview itself. Like, as I said, the hour where you are going to be conducting the interview. And then you have the component number 3, which is the post-interview period or time. And these 3 are equally important. It's really important to understand that these 3 are equally important. When we talk about the pre-interview day, we talk about the preparation, and the preparation is key. Preparation is actually something that is going to help you to build confidence. So when you walk into the interview room, you feel comfortable and you are confident on your ability to actually start answering and addressing the request and the questions from the panels. And this is the first thing that we are going to be discussing right now. But before we start discussing the preparation tips, there is something really important that everyone should be aware of. Again, it's going to be mentioned at a certain point during the presentation, but I want everyone to remember this. when we say mastering the job interview process, when we say take control of the job interview process, I do not mean that you will necessarily be accepted in the job where you are going to be for what you will be interviewed. Because sometimes, and this has happened with everyone, it happened with me. I know a lot of other people that happened with them. Maybe it happened with you as well, guys. Or maybe it will happen with you in the future. But sometimes you sit for the interview, you do a great job, you are well prepared, you answer all the questions, you feel that you are the perfect candidate, but still, unfortunately, you get a rejection email. That you have to understand that it does not mean that you did not succeed the interview process. Probably you did not succeed to land the job. I cannot tell you specifically the reasons behind this, because the tricky part about the companies and the organization, and this is something, to be honest, that probably, like the recruiters, they need to improve, is that when they send you a rejection email, most of the time, 99% of the time, they are not transparent on the reason why. So basically, they send an email, they tell you that you were great, you did a great job, but we prefer to go the other direction. They do not tell you, for example, that your weaknesses or maybe your strengths do not align with the strength that we need in this position. They do not tell you that in this specific answer you did not do good. No. So they send you a general email that probably they will send to all the candidates, and they do not specify what went wrong exactly or why exactly you were not selected. So this is something important that you have to understand, because this is something that will help you boost your confidence as well. You have to understand, again, that if you get rejected after a job interview where you feel confident that you did a great job, it doesn't mean that you are not fit for the position, but probably the recruiter, they prefer to go other direction. Let me give you an example. Again, I'm diving deeper into this point because it's something really important. I will address it again later, but I want you all to understand that failing to land the job doesn't mean that you failed your interview process. An example that I can give is that I know a specific company that they advertised for a position. They interviewed someone who was great, who was a good candidate. He did a great job during the interview. He answered all the questions. He has the skills that they need, etc., etc. But after that, they rejected that candidate because basically there is another candidate who was internal from within the company that was prioritized to get the job. So this is one of the example why some candidate gets rejected even though they did a great job. But still, when that person got the rejection email, they didn't tell him that we are going to go through, we are going to recruit someone internal. No, they told him that you did a great job, but we prefer to go other direction. So again, this is maybe one of the tricky parts, and hopefully one day if we are going to do a training to some HR personnel or some recruiters, it's something that I will pinpoint. But the problem is that when they send you a rejection email, they never pinpoint exactly what went wrong. So this is really important. Failing to land the job doesn't mean that you failed the interview process. This is, I want you guys to remember. So let's dive into some tips in terms of the preparation. Preparation is key. Preparation is the way to build your confidence. There is a quote that says, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Everyone knows that. And there is no doubt, if you do not prepare for the interview, you are going to fail. Now, I want you to focus on what I'm going to say right now. Some people, they spend maybe 5 years working on a specific sector, and then they find a position that is fit with their profile. They apply, they are called for the interview, but then they tell themselves, I have been doing this job or this work for the last 5 years. I have all the knowledge, I have all the expertise, and I'm sure if when I walk into the interview room, I'm going to impress the panel, I'm going to get the job. So they do not prepare. This is the biggest mistake that anyone can make. Please, doesn't matter what's your position right now, doesn't matter what's your title, doesn't matter if you have expertise on the specific sector. If you are applying for a job, even though you spend God knows how many years doing the tasks that are mentioned in the job requirement, still you need to prepare your interview. This is really important. Never ever think that you are fully prepared and you just walk into the room without even doing a minimum of research on the job you're applying for and the company you're applying for. So this is really important. So the tip number one that I want to share with you is that you have to understand the role, and what the organization you applied for is looking for. This is really important. So understanding the role is basically the job description that you have. Remember when we talked about the CV and the resume last week, we talked about tailoring your CV and resume to the job description. Sometimes there are things that you did in previous job that they do not match what's in the job description. However, the same skills were used. So if you basically worked on a call center, in the call center, you obviously used communication skills, okay? But then there is a job you're applying for, which is communication advisor, that they are asking for someone with, I mean, some tasks that that person will need to do is related to, I don't know, communicating with media, for example, right? Well, I know, for example, when you work in a call center, you did not communicate with media, but in the call center, you did some tasks that improved your communication skills, right? So you have to rebuild that task that you did in a way that matches what is written in the job description. It's also the same for the interview process as well. That's why you have to understand the role. You have to understand what they need exactly. You have to understand and read between the line in the job description. What are the skills needed? And there is one important thing that I would advise everyone: always when you prepare, put ink on paper. You have to use a pen and a paper. You put together, like you have in front of you the job description, and then you put together. These are the soft skills that are needed. These are the hard skills that are needed, right? You have to write these down. Go through the job description and write these down. This is really important. And the other thing that you can do is something that I personally did, and it helped me a lot, is, for example, if you are applying for a project management within company X, okay? That company, it has several project management position. But at the same time, there are a lot of other project manager in that company. So one way that I do, what I personally do sometimes, is that I go on a LinkedIn and I go to the company or the organization profile, and I see, like, I filter basically, because when you go to LinkedIn, you can see who's working in that organization, who's working in Tunisia, and who's a project manager in that position. And then I just click on their profile. I told you before, the last week or the week before, it's okay to check LinkedIn profiles. That's what LinkedIn is made for. This is not social media. This is professional media. Maybe in the social media, when you check other people's profiles, you don't want them to see that you are checking their profiles. In LinkedIn, this is what LinkedIn for, is to check other people's profiles to see if you're gonna build a network. So don't be shy to check the LinkedIn profile. Don't freak out if you check a profile and you think, oh, this person will see that I check their profiles. Again, this is a professional setup. This is not a social setup. This is what LinkedIn is made for. You don't have to feel shamed. You don't have to feel that it's not the right thing to do. No, checking people's profile on LinkedIn, that's what LinkedIn is made for. So don't worry about it. So one way that I do it is that I go to that organization, I filter the staff that they are working at that organization, project manager, and I check their profiles. And the reason why I check their profiles is that I want them, first of all, to see what's their background. So for example, if I have company, so let me make it easy for you. If I want to apply for Tesla, okay, I go to Tesla, I want to apply for project manager. I go to a LinkedIn profile of Tesla and I filter. And then I find like there is someone called maybe Jillian that is working as a project manager in Tesla. I check Jillian's profile and I want to see what's her professional background. Okay. And then when I see, for example, Jillian never ever worked as a project manager, but still got the project management position in Tesla, it means even you, who probably did never work as a project manager, can get the job in Tesla as a project manager. So this is one way how to analyze profiles. This is really important because there is a difference between like checking profiles or seeing profiles or maybe reading through job description and through profiles, but also this is different from using your analytical interpretation on when reading the job description and the LinkedIn profiles of people who are working on that organization. Because when you check the profiles of these people who are working in this company or organization as a project managers, and again, I'm saying project manager because here we are assuming that you're applying for a project management position. You can see whether or not this company will provide opportunity to those without project manager to become a project manager. You can see like this company focuses mostly on people who have more than 5 years of expertise. But at the same time, you can see like in the profiles of the person, what are they doing exactly as a project manager? Because for example, if I go to again, if I go to Jillian profile and see that she's a project manager in Tesla and I applied for a job as a project manager in Tesla and I've been called to interview, maybe Jillian will have a description of what are the tasks she's doing. And maybe the tasks that she has in her LinkedIn profile is different from the task in the job description. And that would give me some ideas about what are the things that I can use during the job interview. Another example that I can give you is that there is a specific job that I applied for before, and I went through the interview and I got accepted, and I did the same thing. When I checked the profile of someone who's working on the similar position, basically the person wrote in details what she's doing in that specific company, in this specific position. And she also wrote what are the challenges that she's facing in that specific position. So I took note of that. During the job interview, listen to this carefully, and this is one way how it can benefit you, checking LinkedIn profile of people with similar titles in the organization. In the job interview, one of the questions that I was asked, what do you expect? What are the challenges that you expect that you are going to face in this job? So when they asked me, what are the challenges that you expect to face in this job? I remembered when checking the profile of that specific person who's working on that organization, she wrote what's the challenges she's facing. So I mentioned the same challenges, and I could see from their body language satisfaction from the answer. So this is one way it can benefit you. It's really important because sometimes you might check profile, you cannot find anything beneficial. Sometimes you can check profile, you can find a lot of things. Guys, again, you should go beyond what you are seeing. Please mute yourself. Xiaomi, if you can mute yourself, please. Again, this is basically what I was saying. Yeah, so basically when you checking like profiles or even the job description, guys, and this is maybe a general recommendation for you in your life in general, right? When you see things where you read a job description, and when you read an article or when you go to a LinkedIn profile or anything, use your analytical skills. It's not just about what the eye sees, but also it's about what your mind would tell you. So this is really important. And I already gave you an example. If, for example, you go to a profile of someone who's a project manager in a specific organization, someone who never worked as a project manager before, your eyes would tell you, oh, great, this person is a project manager in this organization, and that's it. Your mind will tell you, listen, Malik, this guy is like a project manager in this organization, but if you notice, this guy never worked before as a project manager. So maybe this organization gives opportunity to people without a project management background. It's really important. The other thing that I want you guys to check before walking into that interview room is the website of the organization or the company you're applying for. I need you to check what's the ongoing project. I need you to check what are the achievements. I need you to check also what are the culture of the organization, because these things, they must be mentioned in the answers that comes out of your mouth during the job interview. These details, again, they need to come out, they need to come out of your mouth during the job interviews in some of the questions they will answer, they will ask. And the thing is, if you see the ongoing projects in the website, and each company in the world, each organization, they state and they mention the project they have, either that they done or it's ongoing or what they're planning to do. When you go to the section of the projects ongoing, you can read what are the projects, you can see what's the vision of the organization, what they want to achieve, what they want to target, how they want to do it, etc., etc. You again take note of all these. You again should look at it not with your eyes, but rather with your mind, and use your analytical skills to extract as many information as possible from the details you find in the website, so you can use them during the interview. Because, for example, if the organization wants to achieve a specific thing, when they ask you, for example, in the job interview, what do you want to achieve in your professional life or in your professional career, or what do you want to achieve in this job? Well, you already took a look at what the website says in terms of achievement of the organization. And that's when you align your answers to what's the achievements of the company, what the company is looking to achieve in the future. So this is really important. Go through the job description, check LinkedIn profiles of employees with similar titles in the organization, check the company website on ongoing project achievements and culture, and use your analytical skills. This is really important. If you're going to check the job description, the LinkedIn profiles of the companies, just, you take a look, you take a note of what you are seeing, and that's it. That's not going to be enough, because every other candidate will do the same. You should think outside the box. So this is something really important. Another thing that I want to tell you, also another example, but it doesn't happen with everyone, to be honest. That is a company that I went through the interview process with them. The company, the HR manager, when she sent me an email, she told me that you will be interviewed by this, like the hiring manager, the project manager, etc., etc. And she gave the names, which is something normal. It happens sometimes, right? And this organization, actually, it works on peace building, conflict resolution, rule of law, etc., etc. Actually, I don't want to mention the name, but they basically gave me the name of the people who were going to be interviewing me. So what I did is that I checked the name of the people who are going to be sitting in the panel. One of them, actually, most of the time, he posts articles about conflict resolution, articles about peace building. So I read through these articles. I took note of what is his ideology when it comes to peace building, when it comes to conflict resolution. And basically, I took note, and I did not memorize, but I aligned most of my answer preparation to his ideology. And during the job interview, I basically, whenever they asked about something specific, when he asked about something, I tried to align my answers to what I saw in the article that he posted. So this is one way how to think about it. I need you guys, as I mentioned, to think outside the box, to think out of the ordinary in terms of the preparation of the interviews. I know that the preparation of interview for all of you is so classic. Maybe not all of you, but you know, putting, for example, a question like introduce yourself, like where do you yourself in 5 years or wherever, or behavioral question, and then write down an answer and memorizing the answer. That's so classic. This is something you should avoid. Think outside the box, think differently. This is really important. Now, identify relevant stories from your experience to share during the interview. So basically, another thing that I recommend is that you have to identify relevant stories, because when you are going to answer a question, they will definitely tell you, give me an example. Definitely. So basically, for each bullet point in the job description, think of a story from your past experience. So basically, if they tell you that they ask for someone who has great communication skills, someone who is going to be communicating with the media, right? This is like job description, communicating with media. And then they will ask you, how are your skills in communicating with media? You tell them, I have great communication skills, I use listening skills, I really have a persuasive ability, etc., etc. You have to expect that the next question is going to be, give me an example. So in each bullet point in the job description, when you prepare, put a highlight on a story that you remember from your previous question, or previous experience. So when you prepare, they have a task communicating with media. You put communicating with media and you put together a story that you, a time that you communicated with media, or maybe a time that you communicated with, I don't know, like a donor, or any example possible. Not necessarily communicating with the media, but where you used your communication skills properly to transmit a message or to advocate for something. So this is really important, and it should be with each bullet point in the job description. If you have no story, do not lie, do not create a story, but here is what you can do. So basically, when they ask you, for example, tell me about a time when you led a team. If you never led a team, if you led a team, you tell them the story that you prepared. If you never led a team, tell them that I cannot remember right now a specific story, but here is exactly what I would do. So we explain to them, how would you lead a team? You do not come up with a story, because if you come up with a story, it means that you lying to them. If you lie to them, you will be caught either during the interview or after the interview if you get a positive reply. Never ever lie in the job interview. This is the rule number 1, because if you lie during the job interview, as I mentioned, either you will be caught in the job interview itself, or later if you get a positive reply, and then you get recruited, and then they find out that you lied, you lose all your credibility and you will be struggling. So this is really important. Again, on a similar point, make sure each achievement you have in your CV comes with a story. If you're gonna put like some achievements, if you're gonna put like, you know, for example, manage at a budget of over $1 million. This is just an example, right? Can be like an achievement. You have to tell the story about this. How did you do it exactly? Rehearse, and rehearse. I'm not gonna dive deep into these details. It's really important that you rehearse your answers. I want to make something clear here, guys, which is really important. Never, ever memorize an answer from E to Z. When you, for example, have a job description, a specific bullet point, a job description, and then you're going to prepare an answer for it, put highlights. Never put a full answer, just put highlights. And then remember these highlights. And then later during the interview, if they ask you about that specific job description or specific requirement in the job description, use your communication skills to develop these bullet points that you actually put together when preparing for the interview. And keep rehearsing. This is important. When you walk into the street, rehearse. When you are at home, rehearse. In front of the mirror, rehearse. It's really important, guys. But never memorize from E to Z, because if you memorize from E to Z and you come during the interview, because when you memorize, you are comfortable. You are not panicking. You have everything in mind. But during the interview, you will go through stress. When you go through stress, you forget things. When you forget things, you will never remember what you memorized. I'd rather have you remember some bullet points, some keywords, than memorizing from E to Z, because some keywords you will not forget when you are stressed. But a whole paragraph, you will definitely forget a word or two. If you forget a word or two, you will panic. If you panic, you will not do a good job. If you will not do a job, you will not do a good job. You will not provide an accurate answer and a good answer. So this is in terms of preparation. The D-Day of the interview, some tips. A key tip that I want to share with you, which is effective, whether people agree about it or not, but I can tell you from now that this is super effective. Dress to impress. And I want you here to listen carefully what I'm going to say. Dress to impress. You're not going to impress the recruiters, but you will impress yourself first. And everyone probably felt that before. Whenever you wear something where you feel comfortable, when you feel comfortable on specific good outfit, if you're wearing some nice clothes, if you're wearing some new clothes, there is a boost of confidence. Everyone felt that, and everyone feels that. It's not something new. We all know about it. And I'm sure that all the attendees right now in the room, they felt that before. Whenever you wear something nice, where you feel comfortable, something new, you have a boost of confidence. And every single boost of confidence is important in the D-Day of the interview. So this is really important. Not too formal, not too casual. But you have to understand, guys, that it varies from one job to another. Obviously, if you're going to be interviewed in a bank for a bank job, you have to wear a suit, right? If you are going to be interviewed for a nonprofit organization, keep it formal, not too casual, never too casual, actually, right? But if you are going to be interviewed, for example, for an IT position in an IT firm, keep it in between formal and casual. So each company will require a specific dress code. How you know is just, like go and check what that company in their website they do. If they have a lot of work that requires customer service, that requires meeting with clients, that requires meeting with directors, you'll probably need to keep it formal because the dress code will be formal. Some company will probably mention this in their website, right? Like the dress code, because this is something important when it comes like to the ethics, etc., etc. But if the company does not have a lot of customer service work, they do not deal a lot with the client, that you can, as I said, keep it not too formal, not too casual as well. But dress is really, really something important that will make you feel comfortable. So dress to your best, and this is the tip number one for the interview day. The other thing is, I want you to understand, guys, that stress is something normal. We all feel stressed. I went through a lot of interviews. I conduct interviews myself to people. I interview people. But when I am interviewed, I feel stressed. It is something normal. It is something usual. The biggest one stand performer, like the people who, like the comedian that you show on stage, the singers that you see on stage singing in front of thousands of people, they all also feel stressed. There is no practice. You cannot practice to not feel stressed. But the difference is there are some people that they manage to control your stress. So when you practice to control your stress, not to not feel stressed, because stress is you will definitely feel it. Doesn't matter. So this is something that I want you to understand. You will be feel stressed. Every other candidate as well will be feel stressed. So it's not just you, everyone else will be stressed as well. But you have to know how to manage and control your stress. And this is a process. This is a process that you have to learn. But let me give you some immediate action that you can do during the interview process. There is what we call the breathing exercise and the technique of 3 seconds. This is effective. You can do it few seconds or 1 minute before walking into the interview room. And this is basically, the exercise is simple. You have to inhale for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, and you keep it for 3 seconds, and then you have to exhale for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And then you hold, and then you repeat again. Breathing is the most effective, immediate practice to be relieved from stress. Not only during the not only for the interview, but for any other stressful situation. So this is really important. Try to do something that you love before the interview. For example, if your interview is later in the day, or even like in the morning, what do you like to do? Do you like to play music? Do you have a specific instrument? Do you like to go to the gym? Do you like to swim? Do you like to read a book? What are the things that you do that helps you to de-stress? Try to do it. I personally like to go to the gym in the morning. So whenever I have an interview, I go to the gym, I listen to nice music, I go for a jog, I read a book, and these things that will help me, because you feel stressed when you're thinking about the interview happening. But the thing is, if you are distracted from thinking about the interview, that's great. So distract yourself by doing something that you love. And then after that, you go to your interview, do the breathing exercise, and then walk into the room. So when you walk into the room, first impressions last. First impressions last, and first impression matter. This is something I firmly believe on. Hopefully one day we'll discuss about the things. Now, a lot of people, they would say that the first impression, it's about, like the first eye contact. True. This is really true. It's about like the dress. Also true. But when it comes to the interview, there is a code that says, once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. Okay? Once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. So if you impress them with your dress, if you impress them with the handshake, if you impress them with the eye contact, still, once you open your mouth, either you're going to break that first impression or you're going to validate that first impression. Not only this, but once you open your mouth, the first 60 seconds for me will tell me how the interview will go. And the reason why is that the first 60 seconds is the 60 seconds toward confidence. If you start on the right foot, you're already on track to do a good job, to do a good interview. If you start on wrong foot, probably it will be a disaster. Some people, they manage how to recover, but it's really important for you guys to know that the first 60 seconds is really, really important when it comes to impressing the recruiters, but also like gaining a boost of confidence that will help you perform later. So that's why the first 60 seconds, I would recommend to focus on the first 60 seconds. And usually the first 60 seconds is to introduce yourself. And there is a question that people asked, what's the perfect answer to introducing yourself? I'll tell you guys later, even though I did not put it on the slide, but I'll tell you how we can do it. But remember, if you do a good job the first 60 seconds talking, introducing yourself, you will do later a perfect job in the other answers. So this is really important. And this is what I mean by first impressions last. Take a notebook and take notes. Oh God, this is really important. And this is really, I do like candidates when I interview them and when they take notes. So what I do personally is that I always take a notebook with me. And when I take a notebook with me, sometimes when you start an interview, so basically the first thing that happens is that the interview panel, one of the interviewer will introduce you to everyone, or maybe each one will introduce themselves, take notes of the name, and maybe they will also say what's their positions, take note of their positions. I want you to make sure that they see you taking notes. This is really important. And then they will start describing the position and the task that you are going to do. Also try to take highlights, take quick notes, because this is going to help you. This is, first of all, it's a really good impression that you are leaving, that you are leaving, and that they see you, that you care, right? you care about their names, you care about their titles, you care about the job description. So you actually take notes. And these notes also will help you later. If someone asks a question and you don't remember their name, you just check to the notebook. There is one psychological trick that I use all the time. And the psychological trick, this is pretty basics, which is when you address someone with their name, you grab their attention better. So basically, if I'm talking right now, and then I have like Jillian in the, I don't know, like in the meeting with us. And then when I'm gonna address something, I say her name first, and then I address the point that I'm gonna do, right? Because I can just answer or I can address it without mentioning the name. But when I say the name and then I address it, the feeling is different because the person will feel that they are important somehow. So basically, if a recruiter asks you and tell you, can you tell me where do you see yourself in 5 years? The recruiter who asks you, it would be great to address them with their name. And you already took the name. You can take a quick look at the notebook. Let's say the name, the recruiter, his name is Connor. The way that you answer, well, you know what, Connor, this is really great. This is a really great question. So in 5 years, I see myself contributing the organization, being better than who I am right now, but contributing and helping the other colleagues to improve themselves, etc., etc. By mentioning his name or the recruiter name, you grab their attention. So this is another tip that I really, guys, want to share with you. Take notes, first of all, to leave a good impression, but take note to remember the recruiter name. And when answering, try to mention their name from time to time. Okay? You know what, Connor? This is a great answer. But let me emphasize on this, Jillian, and I think that this is something that I experienced. And yeah, Ghada, I think that you already mentioned this before, and let's do that. See, when you mention the names, it's always a great boost for them because they feel important. And when you make people feel important, first of all, their impression and the way they look at you is different. And when you make them feel important, they will start looking at you different, as I said, and they will start also pay attention to what you say. So this is really important. Yeah, I highly recommend this. I always take notes. I always take a notebook with me whenever I go to the interview. And I am always impressed when I interview someone who takes notes in front of me. Okay, answering different questions. Well, difficult questions, sorry. Guys, there is a lot of difficult questions. Some people would tell you that every question in the job interview is difficult. Well, I'm not gonna disagree, but I would agree because it's the point of view is different from one person to another. But I'm gonna discuss a couple. I think that there are a few that strikingly tricky to everyone, and I want to address them here. First of all, there is, what are your strengths? Well, like, how can I say this? I think that, you know, like, our egos as a human being is so huge. So we think that we have strength in everything. Most of us, I'm not going to say all of us. We think that we have strength and we are good at all skills, communication skills, leadership skills, management skills, any skills, right? Some people, they will be preparing and they will tell you that, oh, my strength is listening skills, my strength, you know, like you will try to come up with these top skills, right? You probably shouldn't do that. Again, this presentation and this training about like tips on how to succeed in your interview process, I'm trying to take you outside of the box because there is, guys, the inside of the box thinking, the classic and the cliche thinking right now, which is like everyone would do that. Everyone, for example, when you tell them what's your weaknesses, they will tell you, oh, perfection. This is a classic answer. People will tell you perfection is my weaknesses. This is so cliche. If someone I interview tell me that their weakness is perfection, I know that this person is not fit for the position and this person prepared all the other answers. because this is something common. This has been the answer ever since the interview process was born in 1950. So this is really important. It's pretty simple. What are your strengths? Guys, check the job description and see what are the skills that they require. If they require leadership skills, if they require problem-solving skills, if they require communication skills, where these are the things that you should focus on. But then you focus on and you give examples. So if they tell you what are your strengths, in a position where the job description says that you have to be a good leader, tell them, I really pride myself on my leadership skills. I led a team before of 5 field managers, and we contributed a lot to our organization, to our company. We always managed to smoothly implement the project, and this was thanks to my delegation skills as leaders, etc., etc. Problem-solving skills. They asked for a good problem solver. I have really great problem-solving skills. Through teamwork, I always come up with creative solutions to problems, and I remember in this time where, etc., etc., etc. So don't try to come up with some cliche answers, but make sure to align your strengths to the strengths that are in the job description. So this is really important. And once you align them, as I mentioned previously, try to come up with stories that would back up your answers. What are your weaknesses? This is something that everyone is afraid from, which is I understand, because people will tell you that if I mention a weakness that they do not like, they will probably not accept me, which is wrong. Because if I answer you, what is your weakness or what are your weaknesses? I want to understand if you have a weakness that might affect the job, how are you working to improve that weakness? Avoid, as I mentioned, the classic answers of perfection is my weakness. Avoid that, because as I mentioned before, like now every single recruiter around the world, they know that this answer is pre-prepared, and it's so cliche because first of all, there is no one is perfect. The word perfection shouldn't probably never existed in the dictionary. But in the meantime, I want to understand what are your weaknesses, but I want to understand what you're doing to improve it. So this is the point of what are your weaknesses. The point, it's not to understand what are your weaknesses, because nobody can know what are your weaknesses unless they work with you directly. But I want to understand, okay, if you tell me your weakness is writing skills, and right now to improve it, I'm trying every day before I sleep to write 1 or 2 paragraphs from a book that I'm reading, that's great, right? So this is really important. Again, the answer is here. And the thing that I want to stress on, think outside the box. Think differently. I want you, and the point from this presentation is that you need to think differently from the other candidates. So this is really important. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Sorry guys for the spelling mistake. When you ask this, I want you to make sure to share the journey rather than the destination. Share the journey and not the destination. So if you see yourself as the director of the organization, obviously you're not going to tell them that I see myself as a director of the organization. I want you to share the journey. I want you to tell them 5 years from now, I want to be a better person of who I am right now. I am going to try to improve myself every day by collaborating within the team and trying to learn a skill every 4 or 5 months, a skill that I will implement to improve my professional profile and my personal profile. That's the journey. You are explaining the journey. You are not going to tell them, I see myself as a director, because obviously, if you work hard on yourself, in your journey will include improving your skills, improving your language abilities, be better leaders. Obviously, this is it's obvious the destination where you want to go, right? It's toward the leadership position. So where do you see yourself? Never the destination, always the journey. What are your strengths? Align your strength that you are sharing with what's in the job description. What are your weaknesses? Be honest, but also explain exactly how you are going to improve. What are your salary expectations? This is something that people always afraid of, because they tell you, if I am going to ask for a high salary, probably they will reject me. If I am going to be asked for a low salary compared to what they're going to offer, probably they will underpay me. Well, first of all, I want you to always give, never give a number. You have to always give a range. And usually when you give a range, the range that you are going to give, see the salary that you're getting right now, always add 20 to 25%, always. So basically me, for example, when I negotiate my salary, I tell them that, what's your salary expectation? When they ask me what's my salary expectation, I tell them, so my salary expectation is a 20 to 25% increase from what I'm getting right now. And that would be on the range from this to that. But in the meantime, I know that the budget for this company, for this project might be tight, so I'm open to negotiation. So this is my suggestion, but in the meantime, I'm open to the negotiation. So it's really important. Increase with 25% from the salary that you're getting right now, but in the meantime, tell them that you're open to negotiation. So, because if you don't tell them that you're open to negotiation, they might think that this is exactly what you want. So it's really important. And I want you to understand, guys, that salary expectation question is not the killer question of the interview. They never reject someone because of the salary expectation. Because if they really, really want you, they will approach you with the offer and they will start negotiate with you. If they do not want you, they do not want you, they do not care about the salary expectation. But if I personally want someone who asked for $1 million, I want that person. I will try my best to persuade that person for the salary that I can offer. So this is something really important. So I want you to remember salary expectations, never a number, always a range. Try to add 25% or 20% of what you're getting right now and tell them that you're open for negotiating. If you are a fresh graduate and you're starting a job, I want you to understand that when you are a fresh graduate, a good company, when they hire you, they will not ask you for salary expectation. Salary expectation is a question that is often asked for someone with experience. But when you are a fresh graduate, they offer you a salary and that's it. They don't ask you a salary expectation. The problem is that in Tunisia, most of the time, they already they ask that question. But the problem is that we don't have expertise. I am really surprised when people ask a fresh graduate what their salary expectations. The people, they do not even know the market. I just graduated. I do not know the market. I do not know what are the salaries. I do not know how things functions. Why you ask me the salary expectations? Just offer me a salary, and then we can negotiate from that. So this is really important. But again, I mean, globally speaking, let me say in the US, because I have some expertise on the US, when you are a fresh graduate, they never ask you the salary expectation, they just offer you a salary. When you start having 3 to 4 to 5 years of experience, that's when in the job interview, they ask you what are your salary expectations. So this is really important. Behavioral questions, can you tell us a time? So this is a common set of questions. Behavioral question is to see how you would handle things, how you would handle situations. They would tell you, can you tell me a time where you disagreed with your manager? Can you tell me a time where you had a conflict with a teammate or with a colleague, right? Please don't panic if they ask you to give an example of a time and then you don't have that example. Because sometimes they ask you a question and then you cannot recall, even though maybe you had hundreds of these, and you cannot recall a specific example right now. Do not panic. It's fine. Okay? Breathe. See if you remember anything. If you do not remember anything, tell them that I cannot remember specifically an example, but here is exactly what I would do. I cannot remember a situation, even though I believe that I went through multiple of them, but here is exactly how I would handle the situations. So never panic when they ask you about a behavioral question. Never, please, just breathe and tell them I cannot remember and here is exactly what I want to do. Because this is the rationale behind the behavioral question. The rationale is that they want to understand how you would handle the situation. They do not care about the situation itself. They want to understand how you would handle situations. So basically, if you tell them that I cannot remember, and well, obviously in a polite and formal way, and here is exactly how I would handle the situation, you went straight to the point and you provide them with an answer. So don't panic if you don't have an answer for this. Again, these 5 key questions: strengths, align with the strength of the job description; weaknesses, be honest and tell them how you're going to improve; 5, where do you see yourself 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now? Share the journey, never the destination. What are your salary expectations? Always arrange and make sure that you're open for negotiation. Behavioral questions, don't panic if you don't have an example, and tell them exactly how would you handle it. How should you end the interview? Ask questions, but make sure there is a why behind it. So always make sure to ask a question when you end the interview. I personally believe that it's not good that the interview ends and you don't have questions, because it makes me believe that you did not prepare. There are basic questions that you can ask. For example, ask about professional growth opportunity in this job or in this organization. You can ask about what's the impact of the role organization, and ask what the step that will be next. This is important. These are like standard questions that you can ask. My favorite one, my most favorite one, is to ask what are the professional growth opportunity in this job, or what's the culture. Is there like team building every now and then in the organization? So my question is basically evolves around mental health, around team collaboration, and around professional growth opportunity. Never about salary, never about the job description itself, because we already ended the interview. So these are the things that are most of the time behind the scene, but are important. Mental health, professional growth, and team collaboration. So this is my suggestion. And try always to close on a positive note. Positive note, always a good question is a positive note, right? Telling something nice, of course, like closing with a positive note, like thank them about their time. So it's always great. I mean, the way that you close the interview, it's really great, and also it leaves a really good impression. You can keep it classic as much as possible. If you have a sense of humor, of course, sense of humor, I would suggest to avoid. But when I say sense of humor, I mean something nice at the end that you can say, like one or two words nice that can ease the professional tension. That's great. It's just like to paint the smile on their face. But again, if you are not good at it, don't use it, because you might ruin it. So not everyone is good at it. So the best and the classic way that you can do is that thank them for your time, and hopefully we are going to meet again. And that's it. Okay. So it's really important to close on a positive note. Post-job interview, as I said, this is one of the key phases, because that's when doubts starts to get mixed with the stress, because that's when you will be waiting, and waiting is the worst thing that we can go through when we was interviewed. A thank you note, why not? You can send an email, thank them for their time, and that you are looking forward to hear from them. I would highly recommend that, but also if you don't do it, it's not a problem at all, and it's not gonna affect their decision. Just remember. So you can do it. I would suggest to do it, but also I'm not gonna blame if you do not do it. If no outcome email follow up, just once. If you're gonna follow up on job interview, follow up only once after 10 working days, which means 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, if you do not hear from them, send an email, thank them and tell them that I'm wondering if there is any outcome decision on the job interview for this job, etc., etc., and then see their answers. Okay, if they answer you and they tell you that the decision is not made yet, do not follow up again. Just wait. Too much follow-up, that's so needy, I highly advise not to do it. Only one time you follow up with them, because there is something important that you have to understand. No reply is a reply. So if they do not reply, it's an answer for itself. Not all companies are efficient when it comes to answering candidates. Some companies, they are not really, like their HR department is not efficient, and they do not answer all the candidates, even the interviews that candidates they were interviewed. So they only send a positive reply to the candidate who was selected, and they do not answer the others. So for you, just follow up once. If they reply, they say like the process is still ongoing, that's great. If they do not reply, that's a reply for itself. If they spend like more than 10 days without replying, again, that's a reply for itself. Okay. Don't be obsessed about it. Just focus about what is next while waiting for an answer. So this is something really important, guys, that I want you to just like take into consideration, and how can I say, like focus on, is that there is not only this job. There are other jobs. You have to focus on not applying only on one job. Don't be obsessed about it. You conducted the interview, you did your best. Now I want you to move on and focus on something else. Okay? So this is really important. When receiving a positive reply, take your time to answer and study the offer. So when receiving a positive reply, don't answer right away. See the offer that they are sending you. Okay? When are you going to start? What's the salary? What's the other package? Is there any health insurance, etc., etc.? Breathe, take your time, never answer. If you do not answer in 1 or 2 days, it doesn't mean that you are going to be rejected. No, because they already sent an offer. So like the offer still stands unless you reject. After studying the offer, see if it's convenient for you or not. If it's not the salary that you negotiated, tell them that this is not the salary that I negotiated. Is there a specific reason why? And see, it's fine. They expect that you would negotiate. It's not a problem. You will not be rejected if you negotiate. Okay? But negotiate not through twisting hands, negotiate in a professional way. Don't tell them that this is not the salary that I'm expecting and that would probably affect the decision, etc., etc. No, don't do that. Because if you twist hands, probably they will let your hand go. So this is really important. You have to be professional, because even if you twist hand and they accept you, this plays with your reputation when you will be hired and your credibility as well. So this will affect later. It's the same thing as you lying during the interview and then they figure out later. Your reputation and credibility is on the line. Study the offer, guys. The offer, if you don't like, if there is something missing, your health insurance is missing, tell them whether or not there is a health insurance. So whenever you receive an offer, if there is something that you do not like, if there is something that you are missing, it doesn't mean that you can accept anyway. No, just tell them that there is something missing. Can I understand whether or not it's existing? Can I understand why this salary? Because I negotiated something different. So it's fine. It's not a problem. It is not, they are not going to reject you. It is ethically incorrect that they send you an offer, then when you reply nicely, asking to clarify something, and then they reject you, they cannot do it. Like legally, they cannot do it. Ethically, they cannot do it. In all ways possible, they cannot do it. So this is something that I want you guys to remember. When you receive an offer, don't rush to answer out of excitement, but rather breathe, take your time, go out, go back, study the offer, and then see whether or not you are going to follow up with some clarification. When receiving a negative reply, rejection is part of the learning process, and I mentioned this before, and I mentioned this during the first slide. Rejection doesn't mean that you did not do a good job. There is plenty of other reasons that they would reject you. There is plenty of other reasons, but it doesn't mean that you did not do a good job during the interview process. It doesn't mean that you are not a good fit for the job. It doesn't mean that you are not a good project manager. It doesn't mean that you are not a good IT expert. No, this is not the case. It's important to assess yourself, of course, what you think you did wrong. They will not tell you what you did wrong. They will just reject you, telling you that we are going other direction or whatever. They will tell you that you did a good interview. We were happy to have you, whatever. They will not give you a specific reason. But also analyze yourself, analyze the process, see what are the things that went wrong and try to improve yourself, right? If you believe nothing went wrong, that's amazing, that's good. It means that maybe they rejected you for other reasons beyond their control. Maybe there is an internal candidate, maybe they were forced to hire someone else. But I do not want you to feel any doubt on your capacity whatsoever. Assess yourself, improve yourself, keep working, keep looking for other jobs. There is plenty of job out there. And as long as you work hard on yourself, improve yourself, you will definitely get the job that you deserve. There is no one on earth, there is no one I personally met that they worked hard on themselves and they improved themselves and they did not get a good opportunity where they can thrive and where they can become better professionally or personally. So this is something really important that I want you guys to know. That's it. Thank you for your time. We are 13 minutes beyond the presentation time. And yeah, hopefully this was insightful. Floor is yours for questions. I'm gonna check the chat box if there is any questions. But also, guys, if you have any question, please unmute yourself and ask me. We have we have over 11 participants. I would be glad to hear from you on questions. If you have any specific question during the interview that you would find difficult to answer, I'm happy to address this. But yeah, job interview, it's something that we all go through. If you want to share your experience also, you're welcome. But yeah, hopefully it was insightful. Let me check what we have in terms of questions. Najla, the problem is that this kind of information is not always provided, more specifically in Tunisia. What to do in such case? What information information you are referring to? Sorry, because I was not checking the chat box. Najla, if you can be specific, you can unmute yourself, if you can drop a message on the chat box. And another question, is it okay that some people use notes when the job interview is online? Yeah, absolutely. Use notes, yes, but do not read from the notes. So you can take notes, it's fine. You can check your notes, right? But I do not want you to just, hold the notebook and start reading. No, you can take notes, but also I want you to focus with me like this when we are doing the interview. I do not want you all the time looking at your note. This is not good. Or like this, not good. Like one time on the camera, the other time on the note. No. The note is actually you answer, you talk, and then from time to time you take a note. It's just you answer the question and then you can say let me see if I forgot something. No, that's good. That's all what I had to say, right? So yeah, it's no problem at all. It's absolutely not a problem. The problem is that if you keep focusing on your note more than a camera, and if you're reading from your note. I don't agree with you for the dress. Each company has a code dress, so you have to know it before and align yourself. Yes, sir. And that's exactly what I said in the slide. I mentioned that not too formal, not too casual, but know that it varies from one company to another. So yeah, I already mentioned this, but thank you. Mehdi, hello, Malik. Is it okay in an interview process for a scholarship, for example, to just call them with their names? Would it be better, Mr. Connor, just Connor, for example? Yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely. You can add Mr. And Miss. Absolutely, there is no problem. Matter of fact, let me suggest that you do this because you don't know what kind of person you are dealing with. So it's more formal to call them with Mr. and Mrs. and ma'am. If they prefer that they are called just with their name, they will tell you. But yeah, I would recommend that you do that. It's a good point, Mahdi. Thank you. Najla, what is best practice if the interviewer asks you to suggest the salary that you want to receive? I think that I covered this already, Najla. If I wasn't clear, let me know. I can readdress it again. Xiaomi, in my opinion, if they are serious, they have determined the allocation for the created position. Yes. So yes, but some interviewer insists on your suggestion the salary you want to receive. Normally, they should indicate it within the job offer, but many companies don't do that. Okay, just to be clear, this is a good point. So I want to address it properly when it comes to salary because it's the most controversial thing. Okay, so usually the recruiter, so when we recruit people, let me give you my example, and it happens with all the companies. In HR, there are regulations, okay? And there are tools that needs to be used. There is an interview record that needs to be written. And that interview record, they need to be written because in the future, when the audit or the compliance, they will come and they tell you, can you tell me why you recruited Malik and not Najla? They will provide the auditor with the interview record. And the interview record has all the questions that are asked, the answers that you provided, and among them is salary. So one of the top reasons why they ask you for your salary expectations is that the record has a question of salary expectations. So they need you to give an answer. So even if you tell them that I do not have an answer, they insist that you give an answer. And the reason number one is that in the interview record, they need to have an answer so they can archive the interview record. So the audit or the donor, when they come after 5 or 6 years and they tell you why I recruited this person, can you give me the interview records of all other interviewees? They have all the records, including the salary expectations. So this is why I want you guys to understand, because this is like an HR department process, internal process. Not everyone knows about it, but it's good for you guys to know, especially people who are in high school or university, to be aware of. So first of all, it's for the interview record that they need to archive. Second of all, some companies, true, they have it clear what's the salary. That's amazing. They probably will not ask you. Some they will put a range, maybe from 1,000 dinars to 3,000 dinars, but then depends of your expertise. And the other thing is that, in my if you just tell me your name, it would be better. Xiaomi. In my opinion, if they are serious, they have determined the allocation for the created position. Yes, if they are serious, they have allocated the amount that they will put. But you have to understand is that if they give you 1,000 dinars, and this is an example, right? It means probably they can hire you for 2 years. If they give you 3,000 dinars, the budget that you are talking about it will probably be able, they will probably be able to hire you for 1 year. So that's the difference. So for them, it's true they can hire you to, they give you a salary for up to 3,000 dinars. But also they probably are concerned that if they give you up to 3,000 dinars, they can only hire you for 1 year. So that's why if they think that you can be satisfied with 1,500 or 2,000, that's good for them, because that means that they can hire you for 2 years. See? So this is the difference. It's true, every single company, and even me, when I'm going to recruit someone, I have the budget allocation. I know exactly how much I can pay the person, but still I ask them, because it gives me a flexibility on the decision later. Because if I truly like you, I want to keep you for 2 years. I don't want to keep you for 1 year and then I have doubts whether or not I will keep having you, right? So that's why if I can pay you up to 3,000 dinars, but you are like able to work with us with the tasks that I told you about it with 2,000 dinars, let it be. And then later on, at the end of the year, if I get another budget and you are doing a great job, I'll provide you with a salary increase. So this is really important. Hopefully I answered your question, but many companies don't do that. How can I address questions about certain job qualifications that I do not fit in currently where I'm being interviewed? The interviewer trying to highlight the fact that I lack in certain areas as a way to pressure me, especially in terms of the salary. This is for when I am fresh graduate trying to find a first opportunity, or when I'm trying to switch to a different position than what I studied or the job that I used to have. Amal, I'm not sure if I get the question. So basically, you don't have specific qualifications. You applying for a job, and then they are pressuring you, or they are negotiating the salary, or pressuring you to give you a specific salary because you don't have those qualifications. So this is what you're saying. I believe this is what it means. If it's not, just drop me a message and let me know that it's not the case. Well, they pressure you because you don't have those qualifications, but you can pressure them because you have other qualifications. This is really important. So if they truly pressure you because you don't have a certain qualification, you can pressure them because you have other qualification. So this is really important. But it's important also what weighs more, the qualification that you have or the qualification that you do not have. If what weighs more is the qualification you do not have, I don't really see why you are applying for the job, to be honest. But if you are open, and this is something that I want to stress on, if you are open to get this job, which the qualifications are new for you, and to learn, I want you to remember that sometimes money is not everything. It's a learning process. So if you are going to get hired with the salary that they want, and then you get the job, you learn, you master the skills, later on you can negotiate your salary. This is really important. And later on, you can learn that, because your point here and your goal here, if you're saying that the qualification that you're lacking is a heavy weight for that job, it means that you want this job to learn. And then what's your priority? Is it learning or is it money? I know sometimes it's a balance between both, but sometimes you have to make sacrifices. Because if you believe these skills that you are learning, it will open doors to you in the future, you don't really need to care much about money, especially where you are a fresh graduate. So this is really important. But if the qualification that you possess is a heavy weight compared to the application, to the qualification that you not have, that's how you can negotiate. If they pressure you for these qualifications that you do not have, for a specific salary, where pressure them with the qualification that you have and tell them these are the key qualification, and this is exactly why, and this is exactly how I use this qualification. Because these are like the backbone of the, and these are the backbone basically of the job. And this is how we also can pressure them, right? Hopefully I answered your question. If they ask me where I see myself 5 years, my answer will be in the head management. Believe me, I did it before and I got the job. Okay, perfect. If you answer them that you will be in the head management, that's amazing. And you got the job, that's even better. That's good. But again, I mean, my recommendation is always to share the journey, because your answer was straightforward, the head of management. Yes, but also I don't see how it's different from sharing the journey of how you would lead to the head management. And let me tell you this to you, right? If you ask someone in an interview, where do you sell in 5 years? Would you prefer them to tell you the journey that it will lead them to that specific place, or if they answer you just specific place? And I think your answer would be for them to share the journey to that specific place. Amal, also, how can I navigate the questions related to my profiles being very research oriented while I'm looking for a position in the industry? Obviously, even though there is a number of common skills that one should have within these two fields, but there are clear differences. How can I address such questions? You can address such questions by checking the job description and tailoring your answers to the job description. Because in the job description, for example, if I don't know, like depends what's mentioned in the job description. And then you have to tailor your CV. You think about what are the things that you did while doing research, because research required work on the lab, work with a team, work in the field. And that's how you basically can tailor your answer to the job description itself. So this is really important. It's tricky when you are research oriented and you get into the industry, it's tricky. But again, ink on paper, job description, analytical thinking. You have to analyze the job description. What are the skills that they are looking for? And then from each bullet point requirement they're asking for, you have to extract the skills that they need. You write it down, and in front of that skill, think of a story of something that you did in your research experience that helped you use that skills or helped you implement that skills, right? So during the interview, you would answer them about that basically story. And let me tell you something. If in your CV you tailor it to your CV, of course you should not lie in your CV, and you submitted your CV and they called you for the interview, 65% of the job is done. And then you have to just persuade them how you are a good fit. And then you have to tell them stories about how you are a good fit. So this is really important. If you are research oriented, you applied and the industry called you for the interview, they want you for 65%. And then the rest is just your communication skills, your storytelling skills. And this is exactly what I said previously, is that this is how you need to read through the lines in the job description, and in each skills you have to write down what's the story behind that skill, if you have it really. However, some job interviewers in Tunisia do not mention the salary at all during the interview. I should then ask about the salary, isn't it? Do not ask about the salary. Don't ask about the salary. Never in the interview ask about the salary. I'll make it simple, okay? And because you are not losing anything, and because also it doesn't look good, and because probably they will think that you were only thinking about the financial side of things. Because I know that, like, we are financially driven. It's fine. I know, like all of us, we are financially driven, right? Especially when you are a fresh graduate. But like, what's the difference you're gonna make if at the end of the interview you ask about the job, about the salary? Okay. However, let me tell you something. you are ending the interview. You can just end the interview on a good note and leave. If you're gonna receive if they want you, they will send you the offer on the email. And once they send you the offer on the email, that's when you reply and tell them, this is not my salary expectations. I know that we did not talk about this during the interview, but my salary expectation was this and that, right? So you don't address it during the interview, address it when they send you the offer. When they send you the offer, you can address it over email. It's better when also you address it over email, so you have everything like, on record, and that's it, right? So I highly recommend not to ask that question during the interview. Is it okay to mention within the interview that I'm being interviewed for other jobs? Is it okay to mention the proposed salary or the names of the companies in case they insist? Can I mention that I have a better salary proposal if they propose a below average salary? You are twisting hands, and I told you this already. You are twisting hands. You can tell them that you are going through other jobs. Obviously, I mean, if you're looking for a job, you are like, you are being interviewed with other companies, but never twist hands. So this is basically an argument to twist hand. You tell them that I'm offered better salaries from other organizations. They will tell you, okay, like go ahead and accept that offer. Like why you even here, right? So don't do that. It's okay to mention that you are going through other job interviews if they ask. If they do not ask, I don't see a reason why they would mention this. Focus on the interview where you are right now, on the company that you applied for. Show them that you are interested. Show them that you want to work with them. Show them that this is like the company where you want to be, where you belong. But never tell them that you are going through other interviews. If they ask, be honest. Tell them, yes, I'm going through other interviews. I conducted a couple interviews. I have an upcoming couple interviews. And let's see where it leads. It's tricky because they would tell you, if you receive an offer from all these companies, what are you going to do? This is really important because it happens before. And I do it sometimes. Is that when they tell me that they are going through other job interviews, I ask them, okay, what if you receive offers from the 3 companies? What would you choose? Never ever answer money. Never ever answer what's the best salary. No. Tell them that I am going to choose the company where there is a favorable package, and I will also like I will choose the company where there is like there are other considerations that need to be taken into consideration with like the mental health within the organization, like the team collaboration, the team building, professional development, etc. This is important, right? But have a tendency to lean toward the company where you are doing the interview. So it's true. I mean, tell them that I'm going to consider the whole package. I'm going to consider other factors, of course, which is like, the mental health and the team collaboration, professional growth, professional developments, the length of the contract, but also lean toward, I've always wanted to join your company because I know, there is a positive reputation of the company, etc. Again, this is you being transparent. I was talking about the case in which the information about the job position, roles, and responsibility is not mentioned. Yeah, I think that, well, most of the time the job position, roles, and responsibility is mentioned in the job description, but not necessarily in the website. I mean, in the website, if I don't remember ever like a job advertisement without a job description, honestly, because that would be weird. Maybe in the website you will not find anything, which is fine. Then you focus on the job description. If you do not find anything in the job description, again, that would be weird. But also you can focus on the website. You can go to the website, right? If there is nothing in the website, if there is nothing in the description, focus on your CV. Focus on what you have in your CV. That's it. This is all what I'm saying. Because again, guys, they called you for what they saw in your CV. They called you to ask you questions about what they saw in your CV. So you want to focus on your CV, and you want to like in details, how can I say it? Like go through the details that you have in your CV. Try to write stories about some achievements that you have in your CV, because that's what they are going to ask you about. Last question from Mehdi. Malik, how do you respond to the question, why would we choose you over someone else? Oh gosh, this is really interesting. So, first of all, you have to make sure when they ask you this to tell them that you are confident. Listen to me carefully what I'm going to say. Tell them that you are confident that there are other good candidates that are being interviewed. Not better, not better, careful. Other good candidates, they are being interviewed because the company has a good reputation. I know a lot of my friends, they want to work here, etc., etc. But here is exactly why why it would be better if you choose me over other organizations or over other over other candidates. And here is what you need to do. It's pretty simple. It is not difficult. It's pretty simple. They do not want you to tell them something out of like something wow, right? Just tell them the skills that you have, the professional skills, the soft skills, your language abilities, and your achievements. What did you achieve? Because if they called you for the interview, they already impressed from the achievements that you put in the CVs. Okay. So tell them that I would be a fit for this position because I have these and that skills, I have these and that skills. And also like maybe if you speak languages, that's an advantage. But also it's important to know the achievements that I had. I had this number, we achieved this number in this company. I took the lead on this project and was smoothly done within the company, which would help me to implement similar projects within your company or within your organization. So you simply state facts from your CV, state the skills that you have, soft skills and hard skills and achievements, and that's it. That's it. That's all what you need to do. Maybe hard skills and soft skills only, it's not enough. Always achievements. Because your achievements, it's what gonna make you stand from other candidates. Hard skills and soft skills, probably other candidates will have the same. But your achievements is your achievements. So this is really important. So this is something that this is one way how you can answer this question, Mahdi. Yeah, you are welcome, Amal. Anyway, I hope that I mean, unless you have other questions, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the session. We tried to share as many information as possible. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You have my social and professional media. You have my email as well. You can reach out to Jillian or Rada. We will share the recording. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any question regarding the job interviews and how to master the process. I know it's key, it's important, I know it's frustrating, but we are here to help, and this is what this club is made for. Another question: what if their candidate has a gap in their CV? They have been unemployed for a period of time, apart from trainings that they had during that period. What else can be said in that regard? Nothing. Just tell them that like you basically have been focusing on developing your skills, because if you are doing trainings, tell them that you took time to focus on specific skills that you lacked, and you developed your skills, and then yeah, like you applied for this job. Again, don't lie, be straightforward, because it's really good. I mean, if you tell me you have a gap, just you took time to improve your skills and to take training because you have some soft skills gaps or hard skills gaps. That's great. That's amazing. That's crazy. That's someone who cares about themselves. That's someone who actually cares about their professional and self-development. So I would love that. I would be crazy to hear about this. I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, don't be afraid from gap in your CV, as long as you did something right, not just like chilled. Because this is what you need to do. Whenever you cannot find an opportunity, you need to work on yourself, take training, read books, improve yourself. And yeah, I personally have a gap on my CV. And when I was asked, I told them that I was working on myself. I volunteered in the American Corner. I did some clubs. I did training. I did like a lot of things. But yeah, again, thank you everyone. So the next sessions will focus fully on soft skills. I think that the next session is going to be about leadership and storytelling in leadership. It's going to be a really interesting session. And hopefully I meet you guys again next week. It's going to be Saturday, same hours. So yeah, hopefully you guys can join. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all, and we hope to see you next week.
Thank you, Jillian. Thank you.
Great. Bye-bye.
Bye.